Officer James Harper had seen a lot in his 10 years on the force, but nothing prepared him for the scene that greeted him that rainy evening. A tip had led him to an abandoned lot behind crumbling warehouses, the air heavy with the smell of wet earth and neglect. That's when he saw her, small, frail, and trembling in the shadows. The girl couldn't have been more than 8. Her clothes were torn and soaked, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hunger. James felt a lump in his throat as he knelt beside her, offering a gentle smile. "Hey there, you okay?" His voice was soft, careful not to startle her. She flinched, but didn't run. Instead, she whispered a single word, "hungry." James's heart ached. In all his years on the force, he had encountered crime, addiction, and despair, but innocent suffering like this cut deeper than any headline. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a granola bar, offering it to her. She took it hesitantly, her tiny hands shaking. As she ate, James noticed a tattered notebook by her side. Curious, he opened it, only to find pages filled with sketches, doodles of families, homes, and smiling faces. A tear slipped down his cheek. This little girl, abandoned by the world, still clung to hope. James made a silent vow that night: he wouldn't just call for help. He would do everything in his power to make sure she felt safe, cared for, and remembered what it meant to be loved. James stayed crouched beside the girl, who now held the granola bar like a treasure. He realized the rain had soaked her tiny frame to the bone. "Let's get you out of this rain," he said gently, pulling his jacket off and wrapping it around her shoulders. She shivered but didn't resist. He radioed dispatch, requesting immediate assistance, but more importantly, he needed her to feel safe first. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lily," she whispered, barely audible. Lily's eyes darted around nervously as if expecting someone, or something, to appear from the shadows. James's heart tightened. It wasn't just hunger that haunted her, it was fear, betrayal, the heavy weight of being alone. While waiting for backup, James spoke softly, telling her small, comforting things, about his dog, the old library he loved, and even the terrible pancakes he made every Sunday. Slowly, her tense shoulders relaxed, and she let a tiny laugh escape, a sound so fragile it made James ache with emotion. Then he noticed something in her notebook again. Among the sketches of happy homes, there was a drawing of a girl holding hands with a police officer, smiling broadly under a sun. The caption read, "Someone will save me." James's breath caught. Tears blurred his vision. This little girl, despite everything she had been through, had still believed someone would come. Someone would care. And now, he was that someone. When the squad car arrived, Lily clung to James, not wanting to leave. He gave her a reassuring squeeze and whispered, "We're going to take care of you. I promise." As they drove away from the abandoned lot, James couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter wasn't just about saving a child, it was about reminding himself, and the world, what humanity and kindness truly meant. At the children's shelter, Lily was wrapped in a warm blanket, sipping hot cocoa. Her small hands clutched the cup tightly as James knelt beside her, offering quiet reassurance. Staff members bustled around, but Lily seemed lost in thought, staring at the ceiling as if replaying every harsh memory. James asked gently, "Do you want to tell me what happened?" Lily hesitated, then whispered a fragmented story. Her parents had disappeared months ago, caught in a world of addiction and neglect. She had survived by scavenging, hiding, and drawing in her notebook, imagining a life far better than her reality. Every sketch had been a silent prayer for someone to notice her pain. James felt a surge of emotion he could barely contain. He realized this wasn't just about hunger or cold, it was about loneliness, abandonment, and a child's desperate hope. "Lily," he said softly, "you are not alone anymore. Not ever." Her eyes filled with tears, but this time they were different, tears of relief, of trust, of hope slowly replacing fear. James promised to stay in touch, to make sure she always knew she had someone fighting for her. Later that evening, as he walked to his patrol car, James looked back at the shelter. Lily was smiling, showing him a sketch she had just finished, a sun shining over a small house, with a police officer and a little girl holding hands. James felt a lump in his throat. In her innocence, she had taught him a lesson he would never forget, that kindness, even in small gestures, could heal wounds left by the harshest realities. As the streetlights flickered above, James whispered to himself, sometimes saving a life isn't about justice, it's about love. Days passed, and Lily began to thrive at the shelter. She laughed, drew, and even joined other children for games, though she often paused by the window, watching the streets outside as if expecting her old life to return. James visited her every few days, bringing small treats, books, and most importantly, his unwavering presence. One afternoon, as James was leaving, a social worker approached him with a worried expression. "We found something concerning," she said, holding a worn photograph. It showed Lily's parents, but they weren't missing. They were in jail, involved in a case far worse than anyone had imagined. James's heart sank. Lily had been left to survive alone not just by chance, but by a system that had failed her entirely. The thought of how much fear and loneliness she had endured made his chest tighten. When he next saw Lily, she had sensed something was different. Her small voice trembled. "Officer James, will they come back for me?" He knelt down, taking both her hands gently. "No, Lily. They won't. But that's okay, because you have people who will always be here for you. People who care about your safety, your happiness, and your future." Lily's tears fell freely, but this time they were accompanied by a fragile smile. She realized she wasn't abandoned, she was found. James left that day feeling a mix of sorrow and hope. He had come across a lonely, starving girl in an abandoned lot, and now he was witnessing her resilience, the power of human kindness. Sometimes, he thought, it wasn't the law alone that saved people. Sometimes, it was simply showing up, holding a hand, and saying, "You are not alone." Weeks later, Lily's laughter filled the shelter halls. She had begun to open her heart, drawing colorful pictures of houses, parks, and smiling families. Each sketch now included a figure of Officer James, a symbol of safety and hope. One sunny afternoon, James came to visit, carrying a small backpack filled with art supplies. "I thought you might want some new colors for your masterpieces," he said, smiling. Lily's eyes lit up, and for the first time in months, she ran into his arms. As they sat together, coloring and talking, James noticed something remarkable. Lily had begun to trust again, to hope again. Her fear and hunger had been replaced with curiosity, laughter, and even dreams of a brighter future. Later, the shelter held a small ceremony. A local family, who had learned of Lily's story, came forward to offer her a permanent home. James watched as Lily's eyes widened in surprise and joy. For the first time, she understood what it felt like to truly belong. Before she left with her new family, Lily hugged James tightly. "Thank you, for not giving up on me," she whispered. James felt a tear roll down his cheek. In saving Lily, he realized he had experienced something far deeper than duty. He had witnessed the incredible power of compassion, the way one act of kindness could transform a life. As Lily walked away, clutching her new backpack and smiling brightly, James whispered to himself, "Every child deserves to be seen, to be loved, to be safe. And sometimes, all it takes is one person showing up." He looked back at the abandoned lot where it all began, now overgrown and empty, and knew that though the world could be harsh, acts of humanity, big or small, had the power to shine through the darkest places. And in that moment, hope wasn't just a sketch in a notebook, it was real, alive, and unstoppable.